Russia. Russia, or the Russian Federation, is a transcontinental country located in Eastern Europe and Northern Asia, covering an area of 17,125,200 square kilometers, 6,612,100 square miles. It is the largest country in the world by area. Russia's capital and largest city are Moscow, and other major urban areas include Saint Petersburg, Novosibirsk, Yekaterinburg, Nizhny Novgorod, Kazan, and Chelyabinsk. The political system of Russia is governed as a federal semi-presidential republic since 1993. Vladimir Putin has dominated Russia's political system since 2000, serving as either president or prime minister. The country is one of the 5 recognized nuclear weapons states and possesses the largest stockpile of weapons of mass destruction. Russia is a great power as well as a regional power and has been characterized as a potential superpower. Its military has been ranked as the world's second most powerful. Geography. Russia is the largest country in the world. Its total area is 17,125,200 square kilometers, 6,612,100 square miles. This makes it larger than the continents of Oceania, Europe, and Antarctica. It lies between latitudes 41 degrees and 82 degrees north, and longitudes 19 degrees east and 169 degrees west. Russia has a wide natural resource base, including major deposits of timber, petroleum, natural gas, coal, ores, and other mineral resources. Agriculture. Russia's total area of cultivated land is estimated at 1,237,294 square kilometers, 477,722 square miles, the 4th largest in the world. From 1999 to 2009, Russia's agriculture grew steadily, and the country turned from a grain importer to the 3rd largest grain exporter after the EU and the United States. The production of meat has grown from 6,813,000 tons in 1999 to 9,331,000 tons in 2008 and continues to grow. The 2014 devaluation of the ruble and imposition of sanctions spurred domestic production, and in 2016 Russia exceeded Soviet grain production levels, and became the world's largest exporter of wheat. This restoration of agriculture was supported by a credit policy of the government, helping both individual farmers and large privatized corporate farms that once were Soviet kolkhozes and which still own the significant share of agricultural land. While large farms concentrate mainly on grain production and husbandry products, small private household plots produce most of the country's potatoes, vegetables, and fruits. Since Russia borders 3 oceans, the Atlantic, Arctic, and Pacific, Russian fishing fleets are a major world fish supplier. Russia captured 3,191,068 tons of fish in 2005. Both exports and imports of fish and sea products grew significantly in recent years, reaching $2,415 and $2,036 million, respectively, in 2008. Sprawling from the Baltic Sea to the Pacific Ocean, Russia has more than a fifth of the world's forests, which makes it the largest forest country in the world. However, according to a 2012 study by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations and the government of the Russian Federation, the considerable potential of Russian forests is underutilized and Russia's share of the global trade in forest products is less than 4%. Transport. Railway transport in Russia is mostly under the control of the state-run Russian Railways monopoly. The company accounts for over 3.6% of Russia's GDP and handles 39% of the total freight traffic, including pipelines, and more than 42% of passenger traffic. The total length of common used railway tracks exceeds 85,500 kilometers, 53,127 miles, second only to the United States. Over 44,000 kilometers, 27,340 miles, of tracks are electrified, which is the largest number in the world, and additionally, there are more than 30,000 kilometers, 18,641 miles, of industrial non-common carrier lines. Railways in Russia, unlike in most of the world, use a broad gauge of 1,520 mm 4 feet 11 and 27/32 in, with the exception of 957 km 595 miles on Sakhalin Island using the narrow gauge of 1,067 mm 3 feet 6 in. The most renowned railway in Russia is Trans-Siberian (Transsib), spanning a record 7 time zones and serving the longest single continuous services in the world. Moscow-Vladivostok, 9,259 kilometers (5,753 miles). Moscow-Pyongyang, 10,267 kilometers (6,380 miles), and Kiev-Vladivostok, 11,085 kilometers (6,888 miles). As of 2006, Russia had 933,000 kilometers of roads, of which 755,000 were paved. Some of these make up the Russian federal motorway system. With a large land area, the road density is the lowest of all the G8 and BRIC countries. Much of Russia's inland waterways, which total 102,000 kilometers (63,380 miles), are made up of natural rivers or lakes. In the European part of the country, the network of channels connects the basins of major rivers. Russia's capital, Moscow, is sometimes called the Port of the Five Seas because of its waterway connections to the Baltic, White, Caspian, Azov and Black Seas. Major seaports of Russia include Rostov-on-Don on the Azov Sea, Novosibirsk on the Black Sea, Astrakhan and Makhachkala on the Caspian, Kaliningrad and Saint Petersburg on the Baltic, Arkhangelsk on the White Sea, Murmansk on the Barents Sea, Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky and Vladivostok on the Pacific Ocean. In 2008 the country owned 1,448 merchant marine ships. The world's only fleet of nuclear-powered icebreakers advances the economic exploitation of the Arctic continental shelf of Russia and the development of sea trade through the Northern Sea route between Europe and East Asia. By the total length of pipelines, Russia is second only to the United States. Currently, many new pipeline projects are being realized, including Nord Stream and South Stream natural gas pipelines to Europe, and the Eastern Siberia, Pacific Ocean Oil Pipeline (ESPO) to the Russian Far East and China. Russia has 1,216 airports, the busiest being Sheremetyevo, Domodedovo, and Vnukovo in Moscow, and Pulkovo in St. Petersburg. Typically, major Russian cities have well-developed systems of public transport, with the most common varieties of exploited vehicles being bus, trolleybus, and tram. 7 Russian cities, namely Moscow, Saint Petersburg, Nizhny Novgorod, Novosibirsk, Samara, Yekaterinburg, and Kazan, have underground metros, while Volgograd features a metro tram. The total length of metros in Russia is 465.4 kilometers (289.2 miles). Moscow Metro and St. Petersburg Metro are the oldest in Russia, opened in 1935 and 1955 respectively. These two are among the fastest and busiest metro systems in the world, and some of them are famous for rich decorations and unique designs of their stations, which is a common tradition in Russian metros and railways. Science and technology. Science and technology in Russia blossomed since the Age of Enlightenment when Peter the Great founded the Russian Academy of Sciences and St. Petersburg State University, and polymath Mikhail Lomonosov established the Moscow State University, paving the way for a strong native tradition in learning and innovation. In the 19th and 20th centuries the country produced a large number of notable scientists and inventors. The Russian physics school began with Lomonosov, who proposed the law of conservation of matter preceding the energy conservation law. Russian discoveries and inventions in physics include the electric arc, electrodynamical lenses law, space groups of crystals, photoelectric cell, superfluidity, Cherenkov radiation, electron paramagnetic resonance, heterotransistors, and 3D holography. Lasers and masers were co-invented by Nikolai Basov and Alexander Prokhorov, while the idea of tokamak for controlled nuclear fusion was introduced by Igor Tamm, Andrei Sakharov, and Lev Artsimovich, leading eventually the modern International ITER project, where Russia is a party. Since the time of Nikolai Lobachevsky, the Copernicus of geometry, who pioneered the non-Euclidean geometry, and a prominent tutor Pafnuty Chebyshev, the Russian mathematical school became one of the most influential in the world. Chebyshev's students included Alexander Lyapunov, who founded the modern stability theory, and Andrei Markov, who invented the Markov chains. In the 20th century Soviet mathematicians, such as Andrei Kolmogorov, Israel Gelfand, and Sergei Sobolev, made major contributions to various areas of mathematics. 9 Soviet-Russian mathematicians were awarded the Fields Medal, a most prestigious award in mathematics. Recently, Grigory Perelman was offered the first ever Clay Millennium Prize Problems Award for his final proof of the Poincaré conjecture in 2002. Russian chemist Dmitry Mendeleev invented the periodic table, the main framework of modern chemistry. Alexander Butlerov was one of the creators of the theory of chemical structure, playing a central role in organic chemistry. Russian biologists include Dmitry Ivanovsky, who discovered viruses, Ivan Pavlov, who was the first to experiment with the classical conditioning, and Ilya Mechnikov, who was a pioneer researcher of the immune system and probiotics. Many Russian scientists and inventors were émigrés, like Igor Sikorsky, who built the first airliners and modern-type helicopters, Vladimir Zworykin, often called the father of television, chemist Ilya Prigogine, noted for his work on dissipative structures and complex systems, Nobel Prize-winning economists Simon Kuznets and Wassily Leontief, physicist Jorge Gamow, and author of the Big Bang Theory, and social scientist Pitirim Sorokin. Many foreigners worked in Russia for a long time, like Leonard Euler and Alfred Nobel. Russian inventions include arc welding by Nikolai Bernardos, further developed by Nikolai Slavyanov, Konstantin Krenov, and other Russian engineers. Gleb Kotelnikov invented the knapsack parachute, while Evgeny Chertovsky introduced the pressure suit. Alexander Ladygin and Pavel Yablochkov were pioneers of electric lighting, and Mikhail Dobrovolsky introduced the first three-phase electric power systems, widely used today. Sergei Lebedev invented the first commercially viable and mass-produced type of synthetic rubber. The first ternary computer, Seton, was developed by Nikolai Brusentsov. Space exploration. Russian achievements in the field of space technology and space exploration are traced back to Konstantin Tsiolkovsky, the father of theoretical astronautics. His works had inspired leading Soviet rocket engineers, such as Sergei Korolyov, Valentin Glushko, and many others who contributed to the success of the Soviet space program in the early stages of the space race and beyond. In 1957, the first Earth-orbiting artificial satellite, Sputnik 1, was launched. In 1961, the first human trip into space was successfully made by Yuri Gagarin. Many other Soviet and Russian space exploration records ensued, including the first spacewalk performed by Alexei Leonov. Luna 9 was the first spacecraft to land on the Moon. Zond 5 brought the first Earthlings, 2 tortoises and other life forms, to circumnavigate the Moon. Venera 7 was the first to land on another planet, Venus. Mars 3 then the first to land on Mars, the first space exploration rover Lunokhod 1, and the first space station Salyut 1 and Mir. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, some government-funded space exploration programs, including the Buran Space Shuttle program, were cancelled or delayed, while participation of the Russian space industry in commercial activities and international cooperation intensified. Nowadays, Russia is the largest satellite launcher. After the United States Space Shuttle program ended in 2011, Soyuz rockets became the only provider of transport for astronauts at the International Space Station. Luna Glob is a Russian moon exploration program, with the first planned mission launch in 2021. Roscosmos is also developing the Oral spacecraft. To replace the aging Soyuz, it could also conduct mission to lunar orbit as early as 2026. In February 2019, it was announced that Russia is intending to conduct its first crewed mission to land on the Moon in 2031. Water supply and sanitation. In Russia, approximately 70% of drinking water comes from surface water and 30% from groundwater. In 2004, water supply systems had a total capacity of 90 million cubic meters a day. The average residential water use was 248 liters per capita per day. 1/4 of the world's fresh surface and groundwater is located in Russia. The water utility sector is one of the largest industries in Russia, serving the entire Russian population. Lake Baikal is famous for its record depth and clear waters. It contains 20% of the world's liquid freshwater. However, as water pollution gets worse, the lake is going to be a swamp instead of a freshwater lake soon. Culture. There are over 160 different ethnic groups and indigenous peoples in Russia. The country's vast cultural diversity spans ethnic Russians with their Slavic Orthodox traditions, Tatars and Bashkirs with their Turkic Muslim culture, Buddhist nomadic Buryats and Kalmyks, shamanistic peoples of the extreme north and Siberia, Highlanders of the northern Caucasus, and Finno-Ugric peoples of the Russian northwest and Volga region. Handicraft, like Dimkovo toy, kokloma, jul, and perek miniature represent an important aspect of Russian folk culture. Ethnic Russian clothes include kaftan, kosovorotka, and ushanka for men, sarafan and kokoshnik for women, with lapti and valenki as common shoes. The clothes of Cossacks from southern Russia include burka and papaha, which they share with the peoples of the northern Caucasus. Russian cuisine widely uses fish, caviar, poultry, mushrooms, berries, and honey. Crops of rye, wheat, barley, and millet provide the ingredients for various bread, pancakes, and cereals, as well as for kvass, beer, and vodka drinks. Black bread is rather popular in Russia, compared to the rest of the world. Flavorful soups and stews include shchi, borscht, ukha, solyanka, and okrushka. Smetana, a heavy sour cream, is often added to soups and salads. Pirozhki, blini, and sirniki are native types of pancakes. Chicken Kiev, pelmeni and shashlik are popular meat dishes, the last two being of Tatar and Caucasus origin respectively. Other meat dishes include stuffed cabbage rolls, golutsi, usually filled with meat. Salads include olivier salad, vinegar and dressed herring. Russia's large number of ethnic groups have distinctive traditions regarding folk music. Typical ethnic Russian musical instruments are gusli, balalaika, zalaika, and garmoshka. Folk music had a significant influence on Russian classical composers, and in modern times it is a source of inspiration for a number of popular folk bands, like Melnitsa. Russian folk songs, as well as patriotic Soviet songs, constitute the bulk of the repertoire of the world-renowned Red Army Choir and other popular ensembles. Russians have many traditions, including the washing in a banya, a hot steam bath somewhat similar to a sauna. Old Russian folklore takes its roots in the pagan Slavic religion. Many Russian fairy tales and epic bylinas were adapted for animation films, or for feature movies by the prominent directors like Alexander Tushko, Ilya Muromets, Sadko, and Alexander Rue, Morosko, Vasilisa the Beautiful. Russian poets, including Pyotr Yershov and Leonid Filatov, made a number of well-known poetical interpretations of the classical fairy tales, and in some cases, like that of Alexander Pushkin, also created fully original fairy tale poems of great popularity. Thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, click on like button. If you want to watch more videos like this, click on the subscription button below, it's free subscription.